everybody for coming. I'm just going to double check my system to make sure we're all going good and there's no problems. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. 1 second. All right, I think we're good. I have a window open somewhere where I can't tell. It's repeating the live stream, so I can't tell what it is, which window it is. I got so many windows open.
Do you need help?
I think we're good. Oh, it's on this computer. It's this laptop here. There we go. I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I can see the chat. I can see you guys here. So, all right, we're good to go. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to do this live stream just to teach you guys how to use the planner. Many of you downloaded this planner, printed it out, and are now starting to use it. And there's certain operation or system that I use to use it, and I want to talk about that today. So first things first, I have here a freshly printed planner, and you'll notice that it's got these little trim marks on it right here. And what these are for, let me fix the lighting there. What these are for is when you take it down to Kinko's or FedEx or your print shop or whatever, you just tell them it needs to be 8.5 by 8.5. They can use these lines as a guide, and they'll be able to trim it with their fancy paper trimmers. Or you can cut it yourself with like a ruler and X-Acto knife, or if you have a paper trimmer, you can do it yourself. Or you could just leave it untrimmed, hole punch these and stick it in a binder and just use the full page and have this extra bottom part here as a place to do note taking or scribbling or whatever. Lots of different options here with this. You don't have to do it one specific way. Okay, when I go to the print shop, I ask for them to provide a plastic sheet cover for the front and the back. They sometimes have different colors available, different translucencies available. You can customize it however you want. And then I'll do like a 10 millimeter binding on the back. It may need to be bigger if you use thicker paper. But then they'll bind it for you. They'll hole punch it and bind it for you. Usually they do a really professional job. I've never had anybody screw this up. And I've made, let's see here. These are all the planners that I've made over the years. Okay. All right. So that is that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the principles. I'll just pull up my notes here. The principles of this planner. If you give me a second here, I want to make sure I could still see the live stream notes. So I'm just going to pop it out here. I am not a professional live streamer, if you couldn't tell. I do it out of necessity, not out of any sort of pleasure. That's for sure. But I knew that you guys needed to see how I do this. I think it's super helpful, so that's why we're doing this today. All right, so let me switch to this view. Here we go. And we'll zoom in here to this part right here. So the core tenets of my planning system is plan, okay, obviously. But then the next tenet is operate, okay. And then operating leads to the third tenet, and that's record. and then recording leads back to planning. All right. So planning is where you make lists. It's where you figure out your projects that you're going to do for the year. It's figure out your to-dos, your deadlines, your deliverables. All of that happens in planning. Operating is the figuring out, nailing down when and how those plans that you've made are going to get done. This is where strategy comes into play. This is where your scheduling comes into play, and each one of your individual like to-do lists in there in the whole that make up everything that you have to accomplish comes into play here with the operate. And then the last one here is recording. This is when you sort of self-audit what you've done and how you've been working to see how you could improve, how much time you spend on things. You track progress through recording, so that when you go and plan, you have data that you can work from. And so you're like, hey, I want to make a new print series. It's going to be 10 prints, or maybe 12 prints that I can collect in a calendar or something like that. Well, next year when you've are doing this project again, or in 6 months when you're doing it, you can look back on all the things that you've recorded, how much time you've spent doing things, and then you can adjust and measure it and plan accordingly. You could say, well, this is actually going to take 6 months, not 3 months, based on what I've done. Or, oh, I actually got it done faster, and it's going to take 2 months instead of 3 months. So that's the whole thing. They each feed into each other, and this is the essentially the basis for how this whole planner system works. All right. Let me get one more sheet of paper. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about are the symbols that I use in this planner. Okay. Again, this is totally customizable. You can use this planner however you want. But the symbols are a way that I keep things organized, and it just helps me be able to process information a lot faster. All right. So the first symbol is the underline. Okay. And what you're going to use this for is for major categories. Okay. I'm just going to write that there. So let's say you're working on a specific project that might get its own underline. You're working for a specific freelance job that might get its own underline, or freelance in general, dividing between freelance and personal work and your day job or something like that. Those would all get the underline. Then underneath them, you've got the arrow. Okay. And the arrow is for specific projects or specific deliverable sections underneath your main category. Okay. What's specific? That's what I was trying to write. Okay. So that's for your arrows. Then underneath your arrow, the next symbol is the box. And this is for to-dos. Anything that needs to get checked off your list at the end of the day. Okay. Or at the end of the week, or at the end of the month. Okay. Now, in the box, you've got the slash. Okay. That means your task that you did, your to-do, was partially finished. Okay. Then you have the X, the Xed box, and that means that your task has been completed. My pen marker here is running out of ink. And then you have the dash. This is for note taking. And this is for any sort of note that you want to remember. You just divide it by dashes. And then you have the star. And this is for important notes. Important notes. And then I think the last one here is the arrow with the circle around it. We'll call that circle arrow. and that's for tasks that are deferred to a later day. So, when you're going back through to record, you see, oh, this task has it's partial or it's uncompleted and it has an arrow next to it. Then to look at the next day to see where that task is lying. Okay, so we've got the symbols figured out. All right. Now the next, I'm going to get a new marker here and another sheet of paper. The next thing, if we go back to our plan, operate, record, we're going to talk about planning, okay? Okay, planning is broken down into 6 different sections, okay? Your mission, your vision, your goals, your strategy, your schedule, and finally, your habits. Okay, accomplishing your mission ultimately comes down to how well the habits that you have, the good habits that you have are going to accomplish it. The bad habits that you have are going to keep you from doing it. But let's break it down what each one of these things are individually, okay? So your mission, this is the highest level thinking about what you want to accomplish in your business, okay? The mission answers the questions of who do you serve and how do you serve them with the resources and the skills that you have at your disposal. All right. The more specific you can be on for your mission, the better. So I'm going to show you where we start filling out this stuff. This is a sample planner that I printed out here. And I've filled out some of the pages here. So the first thing here, we have mission. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Right here. Maybe we can go even closer. Okay, mission. And I made up a sort of a fake profile for this test sample planner here. And this is, we'll learn who this fake profile person is. I want to make beautiful prints for the living rooms of millennials based on pop culture references from their youth. Okay, that's your mission. That's the thing you want to do. And you're going to use this first page in the planner to write down your mission, then to write down your vision, then to write down your goals, and then finally your strategy, okay? So the next thing is vision. This is not what you're trying to accomplish, but how you want your lifestyle to be, okay? So for example, how you want to live out each day or each week trying to accomplish this mission. So for this, the vision would be make a comfortable living by working 30 to 50 hours a week on my business, with 10 hours a week of that 30 to 50 devoted to research and development. Okay, so it's not all grinding the whole time. Some of it is, let's figure out what we're going to work on next. Let's take time to go to the library and study up on stuff, go to a bookstore, depending on, go to shops or whatever, just to spend some time soaking in what you're going to do. Okay, the next is goals. Okay, these are the specific and deliverable milestones that you need to do to fulfill your mission. Okay. So for example, with these goals that I have here, I have it broken down between personal and business. So let's say I like to divide my personal goals into 4 different sections: health, social, mental, and spiritual. All right. So health would be work out 5 days a week, sleep 8 hours a night. Social would be something to do with how I relate with other people. So write and mail 52 letters, go on a weekly date with my wife. Mental would be, how do I improve my brain? Read 12 books this year, practice banjo 5 days a week, and fill 4 sketchbooks. And then lastly, spiritual would be something like you're gonna want to meditate 15 minutes a day, or read a scripture a day, or attend church or synagogue once a week, something like that. And then your business goals, these are, very specific to maybe your mission or vision, your business mission or vision. No, I don't play banjo, Gray, if you asked that. But we did get a banjo, and I would like to learn it. Okay, goals and business. We're dividing it between two things here, freelance and online shop. And you can see here, going back to the symbols, symbols page, I've got the arrow dividing specific sections, and then I've got these little dashes for these different notes on here. Okay. All right. So let's get back in here for freelance. Maybe a freelance goal would be to land one freelance job a month, and maybe another business goal would be for like developing your online shop and really focusing on that. And so goals would be to put a new item in the shop each month, launch a Kickstarter at some point in the year, 2 new illustrations a month, and maybe $2,000 in sales each month from your online shop. Okay, so the next thing is strategy. Strategy is where you figure out how you're going to accomplish these goals. All right. So, for example, if I want to get more freelance work, then I should focus on LinkedIn. And so I want to refresh my profile. I want to do weekly art posts on LinkedIn. And maybe my strategy to do that would be to batch the posts. Okay. Another strategy would be to contact past clients. So contact my past people I've worked for each quarter, and maybe to have social media posts 3 days a week that really focus on trying to get more freelance work. All right, strategy for the online shop would be focus on marketing. So with the marketing would be to build out the email list, create an email incentive to get people to sign up for the email list, send out emails weekly, run a weekly poll on social media to garner interest. You can see here, you're just figuring out the strategy of how you're going to work. And this page here is designed for you to just fill it out however you need to. Give it as much space or as little space as possible. All right. So that's the strategy section. Now we're going to get to, the scheduling section is where you start to break down things into quarters, months, weeks, and days. So we're going to flip ahead here in the planner and go to the quarter section. And I've got, this fake profile kind of figured out. So quarter one, this is high level thinking, what you want to accomplish in a quarter. And you could break it down per month if you want. Have 3 different focuses for the quarter, or 1 focus for the quarter. So for this fake person I created, their focus is going to be LinkedIn and build out the online shop. For quarter 2, they're going to just focus on creating illustrations. That's all that quarter 2 is going to be. For quarter 3 would be to launch the shop. And then quarter 4 would be like focus on holiday sales and see if they can start meeting that $2,000 a month goal or more, right? So it's high level stuff. You don't have to fill out all 4 quarters in January, but as you go through, maybe in March or February, you're going to start looking forward to quarter 2 or quarter 3 and start fleshing out what needs to be done then. So you're just going to go in here with the projects and break down these projects by category, and then more specifics, what needs to be done under that category, and fill in your deadline when you think you can get that done or what your goal is to get that done. All right, once you've got your quarters figured out, then you start filling in this stuff in the monthly section. Okay, you're not looking at the quarters every day. You might be looking at the month every day, but really the month section here is to help you see a broad view of what's going to be happening in the month. Okay, this is where you put down important dates you got to remember. I've got this section right here, your focus for the month, key events. So let's say you're going to be on a podcast, you got an interview, or maybe your daughter has a choir concert, or maybe you're invited to a wedding reception, your mom's birthday's coming up. You're going to list all these key events right here. You're going to put the date over here as well, so you could see it in context with the rest of the month. And then here you can just kind of scan really quick and see what is a key event or important thing. Anytime you're in a meeting or a phone call, or you just got back from a run and you have some ideas and you're like, oh, next month I need to do that. Or someone contacts you and says, hey, next month, let's meet for lunch or whatever. You're going to start listing that right here to do this month. So I have get mom gift, mail it, make a Shopify account, prep for podcast, stuff like that. And then anytime you have a call, a phone call with somebody, a meeting, a Zoom meeting with somebody, or you're watching a YouTube video and you're taking notes or something like that, this whole section here is for notes on what you're learning. This has been super helpful to go back through 3-4 months later when I have a follow-up meeting and they're like, what did we talk about last time? You can easily open up to this and be like, oh, January 4th, I met with Anthony Wheeler and we talked about maybe him having me on his live stream to do a promo. If we're going to do that in March, he's going to need art by then, stuff like that. If something's really important, you just put an asterisk or a star next to it so you can see it easier. All right. Lastly, the main event of this planner where you're going to spend most of your time is going to be in the week and day breakdown here. All right. Now, the way this works is you have a focus for each week, and it might be a sub-focus of your quarterly or monthly thing, but you just write it there. It might not change the entire month or it might not change the entire quarter, but you want to write it there so that you're always looking at it and seeing it every week that you're working on it to remind you what you're focusing on so you don't get distracted, so you don't go off in different paths. Your weekly to-do, I'm just going to show you an example of I didn't get a chance to fully format this one, but I'm going to show you my weekly to-do for this week. And we're going to zoom in here. So you can see here, I have it broken down between JP Creative, which is like my personal business, my freelance work, and my SVS work, and then miscellaneous stuff. And so for JP Creative, I have the Robots book Kickstarter, which I need to deliver next month. I have this planner thing, so set up live stream, email people about the live stream, do the live stream, which partial. I'll be able to finish checking that off when we're done. Create some sample pages. For Patreon, I was going to do a sketchbook video this week. I already did the rewards. For YouTube, maybe I'm going to do a simplified version of this live stream and make a YouTube video for it. I don't know. Just something I thought of when I was planning. And then for posts for social media, I wanted to post on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I did not post yesterday, so that one's not going to get checked off. But we will do Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday to make up for that. And then what you're going to do is, let's zoom out here a little bit. Once you've filled out your to-do list on this side, you're going to start blocking these things in to your day here. And it can be rearranged. It can change as needed. But essentially, you're going to figure out which one of these things needs to happen. So this is your to-do for that day. You can pull them from the side and put them down here. And then sort of block them in here so that you know, Thursday afternoon, I'm going to want to work on my sketchbook video. And I'm going to want to write my newsletter since I'll be busy Friday. Okay. One thing you might want to look at is this MIT thing. MIT stands for most important task. So every day you figure out what the most important, like if nothing else happens that day except for this thing, you'll still call it a success. So you figure out what your most important task is, you do it that day. I also have these days divided. Right-hand side is business, left-hand side is personal. So anytime I have something personal going on, I write it in on the left-hand side. Anytime I have something business going on, I put it on the right-hand side. You could see yesterday was a nice mix between personal and business. Still like rolling out of the holiday season. Still not quite getting, a full day's work in. Okay. But spending time doing stuff that actually have absolutely needed to be done for the house, right? One major thing, and this has to do with the record section of the plan, right? The record is whether it's been written in my planner beforehand or afterwards, I always write what I did. So every hour, every half hour, I'm going back to my planner and I'm writing what I worked on that last 30 minutes or that last half hour or hour or 2 hours or whatever. And what that does is later at the end of the week, in your notes section, you can go through and just take a project, we'll say live stream here, and I can add up how much time I spent working on the live stream. So I spent, an hour yesterday, an hour today, plus the hour doing the live stream. So we're at 3 hours spent on the live stream. And you're going to want to do this to just keep track. So the future, when I'm planning and I want to do another live stream like this, I could be like, okay, the last one took 3 hours. So let's carve out 3 hours in the week to do that planner, or to do in the planner to do that live stream. All right. So that is schedule. The last thing is habits, right? So we had talked about scheduling. Habits, you're going to want to track your habits. This is part of the record thing. And I have this section here in the planner. This is for lists, which helps with the planning, or you can make lists of whatever you need to do there. But it's usually either recording stuff that you've done or coming up with ideas of things that you want to do. So right here I have, for this fake profile, date ideas, illustration ideas, people that I want to send letters to. And every time you think of someone, just go in here and you add it to them. And when you actually do it, you check it off. So simple list section. This is how you can use this page for habit tracking. So let's say workouts. What I did here was I just penciled out 52 weeks, and then with 5 days across. And if the goal is to do 5 workouts a day, then you go in and just X every time that you've done a workout. And then at the end of the year, you can kind of get a good idea of how well you did, just visually at a glance, how well you've been doing, keeping track of these habits and accomplishing them. You don't have to do X's. You could also do like squares. You could do different colors if you want. This is all completely up to you. And I believe that is it. Let me just go back over my notes really quick. Note taking, progress tracking. The other thing you could do here is if you have a big project to do. So let's say like you're going to do a comic that's 10 pages long. So you'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And let's say you're going to have layouts, sketches, pencils, inks, color. Okay. And you can you can make a little key what each one of those things stands for. And then this is just a simple tracker design you can use. You put that in there, and you can work with pen too. You don't have to work with pencil. And then every time you go and finish, let's say you get done with page 1, you go in here and you just color each one of these things in. And maybe page 2, you've gotten that far and you're working sort of in batches. And now you can look at this little section here and see how you're doing on your project. You can use it you can do it bigger for bigger projects or whatnot. But this space is designed here to do that kind of stuff. Zoom out here a little bit. I believe that is it. That is how you use this planner. And if there's any questions, just let me know and I'll answer those. Otherwise, we'll be done with this live stream. Just looking at some of the questions here, and yes, Studio Hannah says, be sure to like the video. Actually, that would be helpful. I don't usually ask for likes or subscribes or anything like that, but if she's suggesting it, then it's in good form. And do check out her YouTube channel as well. She does good stuff. I'm just going to wait a minute here. I have been using this planner and developing this system for the last 6 or 7 years. And the whole reason was I was and am disorganized by nature. And if I was ever going to finish the stuff that I had to finish and do the things that I wanted to do and accomplish the goals that I set for myself and live the mission that I have for myself, I had to get organized. I had to do this stuff in a procedural organized fashion. And so it's helped me to accomplish a lot of things. I'm still working on it. I'm still figuring things out, but I do attribute a lot of my success and productivity to this planner, which is why I want to share it with you guys. And for next year, I actually want to release a finished printed one, so you don't have to take it to Kinko's and print it itself, and dial it in and polish it a little bit more based on feedback that you all have. A couple questions here. My concern was the hour-by-hour scheduling, but I see now that it can be for tracking after the day, so we could fill it for tracking. The other great thing about this is it acts as a journal. There's times where, because I've been tracking what things have been happening hour by hour or day by day in it, somebody might ask, well, hey, when did we go out to eat that one night? Or what was the last time the dog got groomed? I can go back in my planner and be like, oh, I do it all the time for haircuts too. When was my last haircut? That time. Okay. When was the last time I did this live stream? Oh, okay. That's when we're scheduling for the next one. So it's super helpful to go back and look at stuff that you've done so you can plan for it in the future. How long did it take to develop the planner? I think I answered that. 6 or 7 years. It's been a big honkin' planner before with like fold out, panels and stuff. And that got to be too much for 1 year. So I dialed it back, and really I've experimented with multiple notes pages and less notes pages, and we're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, it's been in work for a while. Question from Racky: can we print it on regular A4 sheets, and what is the thickness of each sheet? Just curious. I like to print it on 28-pound paper. Whatever paper you have access to, just make sure you resize the PDF. Click the option on your printer to fill the sheet. Fill it to the edges. But again, it's totally customizable. So if you have, bigger sheets of paper or smaller sheets of paper, just make sure you tell it to do that on your printer. Hi, Jessica Vanderpool. Thanks for joining us. Lady Grunder says, I can see a use for this in my personal and professional life. That's the whole thing. It's project focused. It doesn't mean it's a business focus. So you got projects in your life, in your personal life, you got business projects. It works for all of that. Question from Jessica: where again did you get it printed in the spiral bound format? So every town should have some sort of copy center, some sort of print shop. You could try Staples, Office Max, a FedEx, Kinko's, or just a local mom and pop print shop. Bring it in. You can bring it in the PD. You can email them the PDF and just say, hey, can you print this out? Trim it to 8.5 by 8.5. Spiral bound it on the left side. Give it a front and back, and then they'll come. You can come pick it up, and it cost me. I printed it at home on 28-pound paper. Usually, print shop will have the nice paper that you can use. 28-pound is a little bit thicker than normal copy paper, which is like 20-pound. 30-pound gets a little too heavy, I think. But if you're using pen, maybe you want to go that hard, that thick. Cost me about $12 to have it spiral bound and trimmed, and adding this plastic sheeting on the front and back to protect it. I believe that's it for the questions. So I didn't want this to go too long. 30 minutes is about good. Thanks for putting up with, me dealing with technical issues at the beginning and stuff. And if you do have any questions, shoot me an email or DM me or something. Hopefully I can get to it. I can find them all. But again, I just want to thank you for downloading this planner. I really hope 2024 is your best year yet, that you're able to accomplish everything you're setting out to do. And I think that's it. We'll see you guys.